As a professional angler, I get to fish at some fabulous locations, and today's on Coarse venue is no exception, in the heart of the Devon countryside on the edge of the Exmoor National Park. I'm Bob Nudd, and here at Angler's Paradise I'd be delighted to share with you a few of the secrets of my success as a world coarse angling champion, and I can promise you plenty of action with some lively scraps along the way. The Easy Access Lake. I wonder why it's called that. Well, because it's a short walk to most of the pegs. It's a mild autumn day, fairly pleasant. Air temperature about 16 degrees, and I'm guessing the water temperature is about the same. So prospects are fairly good for catching the fish that I'm after today, which are colourful species such as golden tench, blue Orfe, golden rudd, so unusual fish. I've decided to fish two areas. If you look across the lake to the island, the lily bed coming away from me, I was going to fish there up in the water, loose feeding with maggots or dropping maggots in to catch probably the Orfe. I should think they live there, and the rudd. And then I've selected another swim on this bank, just over the edge of the lilies again, but I'll fish at full depth, which is probably something like 8 foot deep there. In the middle it's probably 9 or 10 foot deep in that middle channel. But it's still a real deep drop off on the edge of that lily bed. It should be a really colourful day. Let's go and catch some fish. The baits I'm going to be using today, I think this will be my main attack. The humble maggot. Mixed colours, just to confuse the fish a little bit. If you have different colours, and the fish are taking different colours, you just confuse them a bit. And they'll be mainly for fishing up in the water, I should think. Those, I'm going to cup those in with a small cup and fish up in the water for the Orfe. I've also done some expander pellets. These I've done in a pellet pump. They're soft, and I've mixed the size up. There's some big 6 to 8 mil pellets there, and some smaller ones, 4 mil. Just depends how the fish are feeding, but they are a lovely soft pellet for the hook. They're not for feeding, they're only to put on the hook. Expander pellets, they're a really good bait. For feeding, I've got 2 different sizes of pellets. I've got some 2mm fish meal carp pellets. They're good for tench, they're good for any sort of fish. These I will cup in with a big cup so it goes down to the bottom, just a good holding bait for the tench. And then I've got some larger ones as well. Never too sure what size fish I'm going to catch, so I'm going to mix that with 4mm carp pellets as well. I'll put up some of each and also a few maggots in this big pot, and I'll cup that just over the edge of those lilies where I want to catch the golden tench on the bottom. Big volume of bait, not so often for catching the tench, so the bait goes to the bottom. And for fishing across up in the water, then I'll be cupping in maggots all the time. So little and often with the maggots, I should think, and then big potfuls on the bottom for the golden tench later on. When you're fishing on the bottom, you need to establish the depth, and you do this using a plummet. It's just a heavy weight which keeps the line dead straight as you lower it into the water, and just tells you when you've hit the bottom, and then you can look at your float just to get an idea of the depth itself. If I go out into the middle channel a bit more, I've roughly set the depth, so if I go out into that middle, say there, it's probably going to be deeper than I've set the float at. If I'd lower that float in now, you'll see it will go down, down. It's just hit the bottom there. Just see my connector coming back, bonk. It's not much different, it's sloping away, but it's still quite deep, just over the edge of the lilies. Now I want to fish just on the edge of those lilies. That's where I've picked, which is there. And can you see that's there? The plummet has hit the bottom there, so I'm guessing I'm probably fishing 4 inches over depth. Fishing on the bottom for these tench, laying the bait on the bottom. So it just makes sure that you're fishing exactly where you want to. And I can cup in my bait in a tight area there, a big cupful, big volume for the fish to settle on. Then just lower my hook bait on it exactly when I want to, knowing that if I'm there, I'm going to be fishing on the bottom. If I go a bit further out, I would have to deepen the float up slightly because it's just going away and away. That's the inside line sorted. Now, if you look across to the other side, then you'll see that the lilies there, the depth I'm guessing is the same as here, but I don't want to be fishing on the bottom. So I'm going to be catching the fish off the bottom, don't even need to plumb the depth there. I'm going to start. The fish that I want to catch will be across on the other side. 2 maggots. No idea really what they're going to take, but I'm going to feed maggots, so I'm putting maggots on the hook. And then I've got a small pot on the end of my pole here. I'm going to fill that with maggots and just drop that on the top. Once I've put the float in, I'm going to drop the maggots so they're really exact, hopefully to catch some of these big Orfe. Fill that pot. Can you imagine, you can't get anything more accurate than that. Just have to take a bit of care when you're shipping out. Got a big pot full of maggots there, so keep the pole as steady as you can. I'm going to be fishing against those lilies on the other side. That's one good thing about a long pole. I can get exactly where I want to. I can drop my bait in perfectly on the edge of those lilies and then sprinkle the loose maggots right over the float. Nothing can be more accurate than that. I can sprinkle them there. They will be dropping down. Hopefully if there's any big fish there, those maggots go down right past my own hook maggots. Just watching for the bite. Well, that didn't take long. Oh dear. Some big fish over there against those lilies. Just caught a flash, a glimpse of gold. But I'm still not sure what it is. There's so many good specimen size big fish of all sorts in this lake. That's terrific fight. Oh, it's a big golden Orfe. Just the fish I've come to catch today. Oh, look at that. I thought it was a golden Orfe, but no wonder it was such a hard fight. I thought Orfe probably don't fight as hard as tench, and that's a lovely, nearly a 3 pound golden tench. A few little black spots on it, but there you are, a golden tench, but it came up in the water for those loose fed maggots. The shots I use on the line are a little bit different from normal. They're elongated, which means they drop through the water just a little bit more slowly. They offer more resistance as they fall through the water. And you attach them, they've got just a slit through there, and you use a small pair of steel pincers just to squeeze that, just a gentle squeeze. They are pure lead, so they go on easily. What I love about these shots is you can move them on these high-tech lines without any damage. I'll put 2 or 3 on and you'll see how tight you can put them together and how neat they look. You need to just pull it tight over your hand, and then they're so soft they go on really, really easily. I can almost, look how I can block those 3 together if I need to, and how easily they move on the line without any damage. I can pull them one way and the other without any damage to the line. That's why I like them. So I say they're pure lead, very, very easy to use. And to remove them, you need these pincers, Stoneflow pincers. Just, if you lay the line tight there, pull down the shot, then squeeze, and it comes off as if by magic. They're brilliant to use, neat, without any damage to the line. That's why I love using them. 2 maggots, and filling that little pot up again as well with maggots. Can drop them precisely where I'm fishing. But also, if I need to, I can loose feed some maggots in the general area. Just have to be careful when you ship out with that pot. Remember, nice and steady. Stop those maggots. If the pole bounces, then you'll spill out the maggots. I'm fishing in the same spot all the time. I can drop those maggots exactly where I'm fishing. They don't all come out at the same time. There, just all round the float. That's perfect. Another big fish straight away. As soon as I've gone out there. It's definitely lined up already. Letting the elastic do all the work really. I can see by the way that the elastic's coming out, there's another good fish. He doesn't want to come in. Oh, 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 oh. Right in those reeds. Oh, that's another one of those. Another one of those golden tench, but bigger. Oh. I'm not supposed to be catching you like this, you know. Handle this very, very carefully. They're nicknamed bars of soap because it's exactly what they are. They're really, really slippery. But look at that, beautiful fish. Probably about £4. Let's go and tie a knot. Let me show you the knot that I use to attach the rig to the connector. Now, most anglers use what I call a double granny. That's where they take a loop of line and they twist it round, and then they just put it through once, twice. Now that's a granny knot. I'll just wet that. But it is a very weak knot. It still gives you a loop, and it looks exactly the same probably as the one that I'm going to do, but the strength, that's £5 line, just broke as easily as that. The figure of 8 overhand loop is you take the line, you bend it over, and you form a loop like that. So you form a loop, and you take this loop here, take it away from you, and bring it back round and through. Just tuck that through, only once. If you look at it, can you see how you just get that figure of 8 forming? Wet it just before you tighten it up. But this is a really strong knot. Once again, it's a loop, but if I test that, you'll find it's almost impossible to break it. That's £5, and I can't break it. That's where most anglers lose their fish, just tying the wrong knots. Meanwhile, back at my peg, I'm tempted to go on the bottom on that near side swim, but that last tench, oh, it was such a lovely fish, and I just never expected to be catching tench up in the water. The near side swimmers, I thought, oh well, I'll catch tench on the bottom and Orfe up in the water, but just so different. 2 maggots again. Can't wait to get out there again. I think the secret is this big pot of maggots going in. Concentrate. You imagine there's a fair few maggots in there. Just filling that pot up. And they're dropping exactly where I'm fishing. And eventually, I suppose, if the fish don't intercept, they would go to the bottom. The fish gradually start to fight for them as they drop through the water, compete. And that's how you catch the fish. Nice and steady. You've got a little pot on the end of the pole, so it's so important to keep the pole as steady as you can as you ship out. Then lay the bait on the water. Lay the line so it drops down slowly. Twist the pole over. You can see the maggots just dropping out. Pull that back a bit. Look at them. Sprinkling, really. I've got a part sprinkle pot on there. Oh, and it's gone straight away. Oh, that's fantastic. Another fish. Don't know if this is a big one or not. This is all action. Don't think this one's so big. Mystery fish. Oh. Didn't see any flash of colour on this one, I think. I think it's just a normal, little normal small common carp. It looks like everything is coming up in the water today. Hook's just pulled out of it. That's a tiny fish. Only about ½ pound, but intercepting those maggots. Let's have a look at the end tackle I'm using today. The hook is a size 16, it's a maggot hook, fairly light, good for this type of fishing. The hook length is 0.14mm, it's a high-tech line, it just means the fish, it's strong and it means the fish can't see it so easily. And it's 4-pound breaking strain, so quite strong. The hook length is 10 inches long, no shots on the hook length. Up to the first, and they've got a small knot, it's just a twisted figure of 8 knot there to attach the main line to the hook length. I've got a small shot, a number 11 shot, right against the hook length. The main line is 0.16mm, which is about 5-pound breaking strain, just a bit more. I've got 5 of these shots spaced out, all number 11 shots, all spaced out there, just to allow this slow fall through the water. Up to the float itself, 3 pieces there of silicone tubing to keep the float fairly tight on the line. It doesn't want to move. If you hook a fish, it doesn't want to move at all. And a small piece of silicone there, right on top of the float. These floats are only balsa, and this eye can come flying out, but that small piece of silicone there will stop this happening. And then up to the connector loop here, which is about probably 18 inches away from the float tip. So there it is, a simple, very, very strong rig, ideal for fishing up in the water for these big golden tench. I can't resist it, I've got to try that near side line in the deeper water. Should have had enough time for the fish to have arrived at that bolt bait on the bottom. Just see, it's always interesting to see what's in your swim. Has your bait got them there? Just let it drop right down. I know my marker. I'm sure that those 2 maggots again are right on top of that feed area. Oh, it went straight away. That was good. I shouldn't have waited so long. Oh, amazing. That went on the drop. I don't know what this is. Just as it was hitting the bottom, that one took. Another colourful fish? Yes, I just saw a flash of colour again. Oh, everything is working today. It's another one of those beautiful golden tench. Not as big as those others. On the bottom and a smaller fish. But nevertheless, still, you slip that back. Still, probably the best looking one. No black spots on that one. Just over 1.5 pounds in weight. That was quick, wasn't it? Straight in. Just settled on the feed and it's there. Oh. One of those all action days, I love them. My top tip for today is this sprinkle pot that clips onto the pole. It clips onto the tip section of the pole. If you look underneath, there's 4 grooves and these come in different sizes. This particular one is for this pole section, but it just clips on, and as you push it down, it tightens up on the taper of the pole because the pole gets thicker, so that tightens up there. There's a sprinkle part in the middle. Do you see all these holes here? Well, I've cut a middle piece out just so that normally if you want to fill this you have to pull the lid off and fill it with bait, but I can put my maggots through that cut hole like that. Let me have a look. Like that, just drop them in, and then if I turn it over, you'll see it releases them. They don't all come out at the same time, so they drip out. That's brilliant, but the real secret is cutting that hole in the lid. Oh. Fight straight away. Reasonable fish too. Hey, I'd like to finish off with an Orfe. It's good. I wonder what this is. Oh, and it is. Oh, look at that. Beautiful big Orfe. Right off the top, taking that bait. These fish, they just move in suddenly and start to take the bait. Whew. That is a big fish. Just the fish I wanted to order. A beautiful golden Orfe. Just a programme full of colour. Fabulous day.